A man lies washed up on a foreign shore, half drowned, alone, 1,000 miles from a home he has not seen in 20 years. He was a king. He was a soldier. He won the most famous war in history. And now he is nobody, on a beach that is not his. This is where Christopher Nolan begins his film. Not at the start of the story. In the middle of it. Because the tale he is telling was built that way, 2,700 years ago, by a poet named Homer. The film assumes you already know the war this man fought, the kind of man he is, and the strange rules of the world he is trying to cross. Most people walking into that theater will not. So in the next few minutes, we are going to hand you everything the movie takes for granted, and nothing more. Nothing here spoils a single scene. This is the world of the Odyssey, before the lights go down. Start with the war, because the whole film hangs off it. Long before the film begins, a Trojan prince named Paris arrived as a guest in the home of a Greek king, Menelaus of Sparta. He left with something that was not his. Helen, the king's wife, the most beautiful woman in the world. In the legend, that theft lit the longest fire in Greek myth. Menelaus called on his brother, Agamemnon, the most powerful king in Greece. And Agamemnon called in a debt. Years earlier, every suitor who had wanted to marry Helen had sworn an oath to defend her chosen husband. That oath dragged an entire world of kings and their armies across the sea toward a single walled city. Troy. Among them, reluctantly, was the king of a small rocky island called Ithaca. His name was Odysseus. He did not want to go. By one account he even feigned madness to stay home, plowing his fields with salt. It did not work. He went to war. And that war did not last a season. It lasted 10 years. 10 years of siege outside the walls of Troy, of heroes and slaughter and stalemate, a generation bleeding into the dust. The most famous account of it, Homer's Iliad, covers only a few weeks near the very end. It is a poem about rage. The rage of the greatest warrior there, Achilles. And it ends before the war does. Because the war was not won by the strongest arm on the field. It was won by the cleverest mind. And that mind belonged to Odysseus. He is the one who dreamed up the wooden horse. A gift that was really an ambush, a disguise big enough to hide an army. Troy fell. After 10 years, it fell in a single night, to a trick. And here is the hinge the whole film turns on. Winning the war was the easy part. Odysseus still had to get home. That journey, not the war, is the Odyssey. And it would take him another 10 years. 20 years, then, between the day he sailed for Troy and the shore where the film finds him. So we know the war. Now the harder question. What kind of man survives 20 years like that? Here is the first thing to understand about Odysseus, and it is the key to everything he does. He is not the hero of brute strength. That was Achilles, and Achilles is dead. Odysseus is the hero of the mind. Homer tells you this in the very first line of the poem. It is worth hearing the way the translator Robert Fagles renders it. Sing to me of the man, muse, the man of twists and turns. The man of twists and turns. In Homer's Greek, one word. Polytropos. Poly, many. Tropo, turns. The man of many turns. And it means two things at once, which is the whole trick of him. It means a man who twists the world to his advantage. Cunning, adaptable, a liar when he needs to be. And it means a man the world has twisted. Thrown off course, turned and turned again by forces bigger than him. He is both. The trickster and the plaything of fate. That tension is the character. Watch how he survives. Not by overpowering what he meets, but by outthinking it. By lying, disguising, waiting, enduring. He can be a king to a king, a beggar to a beggar, a stranger to a goddess. He becomes whatever the moment needs. That is why the poem, and the film, is named for him and not for the war. This is a story about a mind under pressure. Keep that word in your pocket when you sit down. Polytropos. The man of many turns. But a clever man alone is not enough to explain this world. Because in this world there are rules. Invisible ones. And breaking them gets you killed. If you remember only one idea from this whole video, make it this one. It unlocks more of the film than anything else. The ancient Greek world ran on a sacred code called Xenia. There is no clean English word for it. It means something like guest friendship. The bond between a host and a stranger. The rule was simple and absolute. A stranger arrives at your door. You take them in. You feed them, you shelter them, you protect them, before you even ask their name. And the guest owes something back. Respect, good behavior, no abuse of the house that took them in. This was not mere politeness. It was law. And the god who enforced it was the king of the gods himself. Zeus. In his role as protector of guests, they called him Zeus Xenios. Zeus of strangers. In Nolan's film you will hear it named directly, again and again. Zeus's law. Break it, and you have not been rude. You have committed a crime against heaven. And the gods repay it. Why did a whole civilization treat hospitality as holy? Because it was a world of islands and open sea. To travel was to be shipwrecked, hungry, thrown onto a coast you did not know, at the mercy of whoever lived there. Xenia was the one thing that made travel survivable. Today I shelter you. Tomorrow a stranger shelters me. And there was a darker incentive to be kind. The Greeks believed the gods walked among men in disguise. That ragged beggar at your gate might be a god, testing you. So you treated every stranger as if he might be divine. Now hold this against the war we just described. How did the whole thing start? A guest, Paris, in the house of his host, Menelaus, who stole his host's wife. The Trojan War itself is, at its root, a violation of Xenia. The most sacred rule, broken, and 10 years of death as the price. Once you see that code, the entire film reorganizes itself in front of you. Every door Odysseus arrives at becomes a test. Will this house take the stranger in, or rob him, or worse? Who honors the code and who breaks it? That is how you tell, in this world, who is civilized and who is a monster. And it is how Homer quietly tells you who deserves to live. Let's take a breath and gather what we have, because these three things are the spine of the film. 1. A 10-year war, won by a trick, that Odysseus is trying to return home from. 2. Odysseus himself. Not the strongest, but the cleverest. The man of many turns. 3. Xenia. Zeus's law. The sacred code of host and guest that every encounter tests. Hold those three, and you are already ahead of most of the theater. But there is a fourth force in this world, and it is not human. In the world of the Odyssey, the gods are not a background. They are characters. They act. They take sides. They help, they punish, they intervene directly in the lives of men. This is the part a modern viewer can miss, and missing it makes half the story feel random. It is not random. It is divine. Odysseus has a protector. The goddess of wisdom and war craft, Athena. It makes sense that the goddess of cunning would love the most cunning of men. She guides him, argues for him, shields him. In the film she is played by Zendaya, and that is the role she is playing. His divine ally. But a man does not sail for 20 years only helped. He is also opposed. Odysseus has earned the anger of a god as well. And the sea itself becomes his enemy. This is the rhythm of his whole journey. Favor from above, fury from above, a man caught in the current between them. So when things go impossibly right, or impossibly wrong, in the film, look up. A god is usually the reason. In this world, fate is not a metaphor. It has a face. And sometimes it is watching from the next room. One last thing before you go. Not about the story, but about why this ancient tale is standing in front of a camera at all. The Odyssey was not written to be read. Not at first. Long before it was a book, it was sound. It was performed, out loud, from memory, by traveling singers called bards. A bard would stand before a crowd with an instrument and chant the story. Thousands of lines, held in the mind, sung into the night. This is how the tale survived for centuries before anyone wrote it down. Voice to voice. Generation to generation. Nolan understood that, and built a small tribute to it into his casting. He cast the rapper Travis Scott as a bard, to draw a line between rap and ancient oral poetry, two ways of telling a story out loud, in rhythm, to a crowd. 3,000 years apart, the same instinct. Hold the room with the sound of a story. And now that story, older than almost anything we still tell, is being told on the largest scale cinema has. Nolan shot the entire film on the largest, sharpest image the medium allows. A poem first sung around fires is now the grandest picture on the largest screens in the world. That is the strange, long journey of the Odyssey itself. From a voice in the dark to 70 millimeters of film. So here is what you carry into the theater. A hero coming home from a 10-year war he won with his mind, not his sword. A man defined by a single word. Polytropos. The man of many turns. A world held together by one sacred law. Xenia. The bond between host and stranger, watched over by Zeus. And gods who are not scenery, but players, deciding who reaches home and who does not. Know those four things, and the film will not wash over you. It will open up. And if this world grabs you and you want to go to the source, there is one way in I would point you to. The Robert Fagel's translation of the Odyssey, the one that gives us the man of twists and turns, is on Audible, read by Ian McKellen. The voice of Gandalf himself. It is the closest thing we have to sitting in that ancient crowd and hearing the whole thing sung. When you have seen the film, come back and tell us. Did Nolan's Odysseus feel like the man of many turns to you? All our sources for this one are linked below. Stilius, the lights are going down. Now you know the world. Enjoy the journey home.